The eighth episode of the 15th season of Million Dollar Listing Los Angeles features Heather and Altman, who are having some difficulties in paradise. Last week, Flag transferred the responsibility of co-listing to Tracy, and the Altman brothers were successful in selling the most expensive listing that has ever been sold in Encino. This week, Heather and Altman's priorities regarding job and family life are at conflict with one another, and Tracy and Flag are successful in finding buyers for their Roxbury listing. Here is all you need to know about the 8th episode of the 15th season of Million Dollar Listing Los Angeles. Mo mansions, mo problems is the phrase. She was doing her best to strike a balance between her profession and her personal life, but she was feeling overwhelmed. Due to the fact that Altman was in Orange County a great deal more than usual because of their new business, she was required to be the sole caregiver for the children. Are there no nannies available to provide assistance? Despite this, it is imperative that the show continues, so Heather got to work on their Beverly Grove listing. This mansion, which is 7,000 square feet in size and features breathtaking vistas, had been on the market for a while, so they decided to reduce the price by a few $1,000,000. Following the occurrence of that event, Heather was unable to keep up with the showings. Even though it was a fantastic problem to have, Heather needed assistance with it. Contrary to what Flag stated, the Roxbury listing did not successfully sell itself, as Tracy had promised it would. As a result of Flag's departure to Paris for Fashion Week, Tracy was left to take over the co-listing duties that had been established between them. Because of the necessary renovations, there were a lot of showings, but there were no bids made on the property. Nevertheless, the house was ready to be moved into, which was a plus aspect. Tracy was aware that all they needed was certain buyers who could recognize the potential. They were clients of Flag, and their names were Shiva and Kevin. She made the observation that because Flag was representing both the buyer and the seller, it was possible that she might have to negotiate against Flag. Which will be fun. For me, she pondered in her head. Tower Grove was Altman's next major listing, and it was located in close proximity to his home. Due to the fact that Heather and him were not on good terms at the moment, he pointed out that this would make Heather happier. Dino De Laurentiis, now known as Giada De Laurentiis, the granddad of one of the most famous people on the Food Network, possessed a mansion in Hollywood that was reminiscent of the Golden Age. The property encompassed 8 acres and was situated on a hilltop, such that it offered a panoramic view of the city, the ocean, the mountains, and most importantly, Drake's home. As soon as her son informed her about the property, Heather Dubrow, who is a star on The Real Housewives of Orange County, made her way over to inspect it. Nick Dubrow, who had been working as an intern at Altman's company, was confident that his mother would adore the house. His parents sold a $55 million house with me, Altman quipped, referring to the reason that Nick was brought onto the team. Take note, aspiring real estate agents. All that is required to join Altman's team is something like that. Not a big deal at all. Almost instantly, Heather had a mind-boggling idea of how she could make the property more to her taste. Her statement was that if they owned this home, it would solidify their move from Orange County to Los Angeles. At that point, she was finally able to make the transition to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Gods, you are the best. Make this happen. Altman advised her to move quickly because this listing for $20 million was a steal. Construction of any kind would have to take place as quickly as possible. They only had a period of 6 months before the wildlife ordinance went into effect, which was designed to preserve property and prevent developers from continuing to construct these enormous houses all over the area. How horrifying. Consequently, Heather did not waste any time in calling her husband, Terry Dubrow, in order to initiate the procedure. In order to inform Flag of the positive news of their Roxbury co-listing, Tracy made a phone call to him. Since they had a prospective deal with Kevin and Shiva, he needs to return to Los Angeles as soon as possible in order to start the negotiation process. They would have to make a decision regarding who would represent both the buyer and the seller in order to guarantee that both sides would receive a fair deal. Flag, on the other hand, was too preoccupied in shopping the streets of Paris and purchasing Birkins to notice the occasion. The words "he's too much work" were uttered by Tracy. Heather couldn't contain her excitement when she finally sold the Beverly Grove listing. She responded, "Yes, I am capable of being a successful mother. I am capable of doing everything." The excitement, however, subsided when she went to meet Altman in order to go shopping for finishes for the new office in Orange County. The refurbishment cost him $2 million, and he was concerned that she was going over the allotted budget. The fact that he questioned Heather's spending led to her feeling humiliated. The more significant problem, however, was that the two were heading in opposite directions. Heather wanted Altman to calm down, but Altman wanted to keep his foot on the accelerator. Heather ultimately prevailed. According to him, Heather has been urging him to slow down for years, but he is not the type of person who would do that. In order to discuss his trip and the Roxbury listing, Flagg made a quick visit to Tracy's establishment. As he put it, Paris was wonderful. Food received a perfect score. The stature of Dick was unmatched. Now, however, it was time to get down to business. As a result, it was only natural for Tracy and Flagg to seek refuge under a massive blanket in order to bargain. Also, the word negotiate is used in a very general sense. According to Tracy, Flagg made an offer of $8.5 million in cash, and she advised the seller to accept the deal. "Okay, then go ahead." In bed, Tracy made a joke about how they ought to do more transactions together. Flagg was in agreement. He stated, "Tracy is absolutely correct. We ought to engage in transactions similar to this one more frequently. The task is done by her while I travel to Europe. The circumstance does not appear to present any difficulties to me." Additionally, Altman came to an agreement with the Dubrows to close the inventory. In order to celebrate, he and Heather went to Drake's and met up with them there. Unfortunately for Heather Dubrow, it was not at the house of her soon-to-be neighbor, but rather at the restaurant as she had anticipated. Altman received a lot of praise for the fact that their house was the third largest sale in the history of Orange County. Heather Altman stifled the chagrin. In order to prevent her husband from being inspired to put in more effort, she did not want him to get appreciation. Following that, Josh related the incident of how Heather had the nanny follow him around while he was outside playing with his son. She was advised by Heather Dubrow to have faith in her husband. Josh made a joke about how difficult it was to be a father and how he couldn't understand how his wife managed to do it. There was a very unpleasant exchange that took place, and no one allowed Heather Altman to enter the conversation. While she smiled and sipped her martini, she was aware that things were not going well with the Altmans.